All right, so this is part 2. We're going to pick up where we left off before. One thing I noticed, or was pointed out, that I forgot, that all this needs to be divided by EI. We'll pick that up in a second. So did anybody calculate this first term for the Y values? 26,667? Oh, okay. So 26 or 27? 26,666.6. That's good enough for me. This should be kip feet cubed, and then plus, what's this term? That's 10,000 divided by 3, right? 3,333, whatever. Oh! 3,333.3. And that whole thing is divided by E and I. So what is that total?
30,000.
Exactly? Nice. That's close enough. It came out positive, so that means our assumption of moving down was correct. And now if you actually want the value, I'll take the 30,000 kip feet cubed, and now we need to divide by E and I. So E is 29,000 kips per inch squared. I is 1,000 inches to the fourth, and then we need to convert the cubic feet. So we have 12 inches cubed is 1 foot cubed. So we should be left with just inches. That's what 12 cubed is, 1728. So what's the actual numerical value? This almost washes out to 1. It looks like it's going to be slightly greater than 1. What'd you guys get?
Yeah, 1.79.
1.79?
Yes, sir.
All right. So 1.79, and that'll be inches. That's not too bad. I think that's doable on the exam. I mean, it took me up here about 15 minutes or so, 16 minutes or so, but I'm talking to you and doing other things. Now, let's just talk for a second about, remember the original problem said include axial force. So what would we have to do? We would have to go back to our free body diagrams and add what? Axial force. So let's look at BC. So imagine an axial force here. In fact, just to help you with that a little more, I'll actually draw it in. So I'll assume that I have a tension force, and I'll call that the force in BC. What is the force in BC? 0. If you sum forces in the x direction, is there any applied x force? No. So I'll come over here and I'll assume in section AB that there's a force in AB. So now I sum forces in the y direction. I do have a force. You can see it's going to be balanced by the 10. So this column is going to be in compression, 10 kips. And then, of course, we come over here and we look at our virtual. We get a similar result. So this will be the virtual load in BC, which is 0. And then here's the virtual load in AB, which is what? 1. So we can relatively quickly add the effect of the axial force. So if I made a little chart just to keep track of my axial forces, I've got two members. Remember, I had AB and I had BC, and I've got the real force, virtual force, the length, and what else do I need? I need to divide it by A over E, right? So right now I'll just come up with the term, with this term. So let's create a quick little table and see what we get. So in AB, the real moment was 0, 0, 0. Hey, that was easy. In BC, the real force was -10, and the virtual force here was -1. And what's the length? The length is 20 feet, but we want to do it in inches, so that'll be what, 240 inches?
Can you move up?
Sorry. So it'll be 240 times 1 times 10, so it looks like 2,400. Sorry? Oh, okay, thanks. And that should be kip inches. Now remember, the contribution is actually n, little n, length over AE. So we need to add that to the list. So I've got 2,400 kip inches divided by E, which is 29,000 kips per inch squared, divided by A, which is 25 inches squared. So you can see that kips cancel, inches squared cancel. I'm left with units of just inch. So what's that? This is going to be pretty small. 2,400 divided by 29,000 divided by 25. I believe it's going to be tinier.
0.003.
0.003. Anybody else get that?
Yeah, I got that.
So we would then add that. So what happens is the column is compressing just a little bit. So now the total displacement at C would be 1.79 plus this, which would be 1.79. I don't know if we had any extra numbers, but let's just say it's 1.793. Any questions about that? Now, for our exam, this is too much to do, obviously, but I could ask you to do the bending part or the axial part. This is probably a typical problem, I think. Also remember, I might just ask you sometimes just to stop here and just give the equations and not actually evaluate them. But if I do ask you to evaluate them, more than likely I could give you some extra points for that if you had the time. Okay, we'll stop that one.